What you gonna do when they come for you, bad boys?
This definitely was the cruise from hell. People getting arrested, bad kids, rude entitled adults.
Cruise port, Customs and Border Protection seizing a dangerous cocktail of drugs from a U.S. citizen returning from a cruise to Mexico.
Let's talk about it. We just returned from a 7-night Royal Caribbean cruise from Galveston, Texas, down to Honduras, then to Costa Maya, Mexico, and Cozumel, Mexico. And this was the worst Royal Caribbean cruise we have ever taken. Actually, this was the worst cruise I have ever taken. And we have taken a bunch of cruises, kiddies. It all began pretty normally with the typical chaos on embarkation day where people are trying to figure out what's where, and they casually bump into each other or crowd the elevators while they're trying to figure things out. But that first day's chaos persisted each and every day of the 7. The week preceding and the week after Easter each year is the annual spring break for many parts of Mexico. And there is an annual pilgrimage of relatively wealthy people coming from cities like Monterrey, Mexico, traveling to Galveston to take cruises for their holiday. Indeed, this is probably the peak time for children being on Galveston cruise ships, and there were 2,000 kids on our full sailing. 2,000 kids. And many of them were absolute terrors. And we have cruised enough to know that kids will be kids, but this was that adage on steroids. Constantly running into you, constantly stepping on your toes, and the parents said nothing. Running up the stairs constantly in packs of 10 plus. Constantly, not occasionally, constantly. Sneaking into the main nightclub and getting carded and thrown out. Slinging pizza against the walls all over the ship. Getting dragged by security for violating curfew. Screaming until 2 a.m. on the boardwalk. It was a mess. The Facebook roll call group was filled with complaints each and every day of the week. One passenger said this cruise has been overwhelmed with too many young children not being attended. Parents letting their 5-year-olds run amok. Another said, sadly, it's not just the kids, the adults do it too. When I politely say excuse me so I can get by, they give me the evil eye. I call it the entitlement syndrome. Another frustrated guest said, look, I'm not going to move. We are just going to bump shoulders, and I'm going to keep walking. Another added, this is my 8th cruise with Royal Caribbean, and this is by far the worst. People are disrespectful and rude. And I have to say, I agree, unfortunately, with every one of these comments. This was the worst sailing I have ever experienced. So, word to the wise if you intend on cruising out of Galveston. And if you're going for some relaxation and don't like constant chaos, avoid the week before and the week after Easter. Certainly, it was better than having to trudge down to an office during those days, but it was the least relaxing of all the cruises we have taken, just because of the entitlement, the rude fellow passengers, and really, what was more frustrating was the parents wouldn't correct the kids. They would see the kids bumping into adults, stepping on the feet of adults, and the parents would say nothing to the kids in English or in Spanish. The cherry on top of this chaotic, crazy cruise was the arrest of one of the passengers getting off the ship, caught with some magic potions. Ay, ay, ay.